Hello, boys and girls. I can't believe that we have come to the end of our school year already. What a crazy year it's been, right? Who would have thought I would have been teaching on YouTube and you guys would be sitting at home watching your computers or your iPhones or your iPads or your Kindles? But that's where we are. So, last week you guys learned about the moon and the moon phases and how it can affect things here on Earth, like the tide coming in and out, high tide, low tide, and how this moon really doesn't give off light at all. It comes from the sun. And so to this week, I thought we'd stay with our space theme and continue with that. And we talk about our solar system. All while we're talking about our solar system, I thought we could make these little rockets here and we could blast them off and see what happens. Now, there are directions to the rockets in the lesson plan page that your teachers have put up, so you guys can print those out. If you don't have a printer, that's fine. All you really need, there's some just simple things that you need to do this, and I'm going to walk you through. So if you can have your parents print out the directions, they're at the bottom of the page, that would be great. And the page you're really going to want is this one here. This has the template, so everything can be cut out for you. It's a square, 2 triangles, and then this circle here that has a quarter of the piece cut out, okay? If you don't have access to a printer and you can't print it out, that's fine, because this square here, all you need to do is find a ruler, a blank sheet of paper, and you're going to make a square that is 5 inches across and 5 inches up, because you remember a square is the same on all 4 sides, 4-sided figure, all the same size. So our square that we're going to be working with and cut out is 5 inches all the way around, okay? And then to make this top piece here, this little cone piece, it's actually a circle. Now the circle, if you want to make a whole circle, that's fine. If you can cut out a little quarter of it like a pie chunk, that's okay too. But the circle itself, the diameter, that's what measures across the whole center of the circle. The diameter is 2.5 inches. So if you can find the bottom of a cup maybe that's 2.5 inches, you can trace that cup too, and that would work perfectly. And then you can just draw some triangles. The triangles are what we call isosceles triangles. They don't have or not isosceles, excuse me, scaling triangles, or you can have a right triangle here. They have a right triangle. This is a right triangle here. And they have a long side here. This is longer and this is shorter. So this is about an inch, inch and a half, and this is about maybe about an inch and a half, 2 inches, okay? So we're gonna make this, it's really simple. So for supplies for today, all you're gonna need is your paper. See, everything fits on 1 sheet of paper, so you only really need 1 sheet of paper. 1 sheet of paper, you're gonna want some scissors and some Scotch tape and a pencil. If you have a pencil, that'd be great. Now, the key to making our rocket blast off, and I'm going to show you afterwards, is a straw. You can, next time you go to 7-Eleven, you can get a straw maybe if you get a drink, or ask for an extra straw at McDonald's or any of the fast food places that you might be able to go to, or if you have a straw laying around that you can put in your cups, because you're going to want to stick that straw and make that rocket to blast off. So I already pre-cut my things, but you can cut them as you want to. So I said we were going to talk about space today. Now, the best thing about space is there's 8 planets in our solar system. There used to be 9, but there's 8 planets that we count as planets. Pluto is not a planet anymore. He's just Mickey's dog. You know, Mickey Mouse, remember him? He's Mickey Mouse's dog. But anyway, we have 8 planets. Can you name the 8 planets? There's Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and then there's an asteroid belt in the middle, and then it goes Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And those are the 8 planets. Now we start from the smallest planet, which happens to be Mercury. So it is our smallest planet, but it's also the one closest to the sun. Now, if you were to look at Mercury up in the sky, Mercury kind of looks black. It has a black kind of figure. It's probably because it's so close to the sun and it gets really, really warm there. The next planet from Mercury is Venus. Venus is a really cool planet. Venus they call is the sister planet to the Earth. Now the sister planet is about the same size as the Earth. It's called its twin. It's about the same size, but it definitely doesn't have any of the characteristics that Earth has. We know what Earth's like, we live on it, right? Well, Venus is really, really hot. It's got this huge cloud that surrounds it and keeps all the heat inside. So nothing can grow there. It's all filled with sulfuric acid. It rains sulfuric acid. It's just not a nice place to be. So your first planet is Mercury, and then you have Venus, and then you have Earth. Earth is called the water planet. I wonder why it's called the water planet. I bet you because 75% of it's covered by water. Hello. But it's called the water planet. And then from the water planet, we go to, that's right, Mars. Mars is our next planet. Now, they did say, scientists have theorized that maybe life forms have been on Mars because they found fossils. They think that there's water, there's ice on Mars. You ever wonder why Mars is red? Mars is red because they have the iron dust that coats just about the entire planet. But an interesting fact about Mars is its warmest day is like winter for us. That's right. Its warmest day is about 37 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe a little bit colder, maybe about 32 degrees Fahrenheit. But its warmest day is a cold winter day for us. So not a very place that I'd like to stay and live. But they've talked about it. So those are our first 4 planets. Now our first 4 planets are called terrestrial. Terrestrial means that they're made of rock. So that means you can walk on them. They're solid surfaces. You absolutely can walk on them. So we go from Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and then what happens? There's this huge belt. It's an asteroid belt right in the middle of the solar system. That asteroid belt separates the first 4 planets of the solar system from the last 4 planets of the solar system. Kind of like my head separating my hands right now. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but let's get to our rocket, the last 4 planets in a minute. Let's get to our rocket. So you're gonna need this pencil. And once you've cut out your square, which I told you I already pre-cut, once you cut out your square, you're gonna wanna wrap your pencil, your paper around the square so it makes a circle. So give me a minute to do that on this table. It's a little bit easier when you have something solid. You're gonna kind of make it as tight as you can, not too tight, because like I said before, we want that straw to go up inside it. But it has to look like a cone or a cylinder. So you're left with this shape that's here. Now, one of the cool things about this project is I left mine just white, but you can decorate it, you can color it, you can name the rockets, like the rockets that just went up into space the other day. You can name your rocket like FFES, Fannie Fitzgerald Elementary School. Yep, you can name it the FFES Lighthouse, because it kind of looks like a lighthouse to me actually when it was all said and done. So once I've got my square wrapped around, you're going to want to hold tight. You want to have your mom or your dad or maybe an older brother or sister help you tape down the sides of the rocket so it sticks, okay? Tape down the sides of the rocket so it sticks. Because, like I said, you want it to be a cylinder. Remember, a cylinder is kind of like a can or soup can or something like that. So now that I've got a flat cylinder, I can slide it right off and put it to the side for a minute because it's going to be the body of my rocket. So if I were an astronaut, I would be sitting maybe up here towards the top of my rocket. Okay. Now, next part that we're going to work on while I talk is about this little top here is the cone. Now, this cone, if you remember from the rocket, it has to sit up here on the top, kind of like hat. That's why it looks like a lighthouse, doesn't it? Kind of has to sit here up here in the top, like a little hat. You want it to be tight, so you don't want to leave it too big of a cone. So you take your cut end and you kind of just fold it over and you make a little hat. And you keep on getting it, so if you make it too big, it's going to be loose and it's going to flop all around, and you don't want that to happen. But you're going to make it a little bit tighter. You make it, like I said, you can color these as well. They don't have to be plain white like mine. You can make them as cool as you want to. So I've made mine a little, so this is called a cone, like an ice cream cone if you turn it this way. It's a cone if you turn it this way. Okay, and again, get an older brother, sister, or mom or dad to help you. You're going to get a little piece of tape, and you're just going to tape it together. So now you have the base of the rocket, and you have this little cone that's going to sit on the top. And we're going to do that in just a minute. So, do you remember the first 4 planets of the solar system starting from the sun? The sun's the center of our solar system. And then out from the sun, all of these planets orbit, or they go around the sun. So all of these planets, the first four again, are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Those are the first four: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. And then we hit an asteroid belt. Now, after the asteroid belt, it's a lot colder out in space. You're a lot farther from the sun. So after the asteroid belt, you hit what we call gas giants. These planets are huge. Now, the first planet we're going to encounter on our journey, as we're soaring through on our rocket, the first planet we're going to come to after we travel through the asteroid belt is Jupiter. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. It's huge. It's also known for it has this huge red spot on it. And it's a constant storm that keeps going all the time. It just never stops. Now, we've had some pretty big storms, but could you imagine a storm that never ends? There's one on Jupiter. It's there all the time. Yep. And then next to Jupiter, it's a pretty cool planet. It carries its own rings. It's got Saturn. Saturn is a planet that's surrounded by rings. Now, it's not the only planet that rings. There's a lot of other planets that have rings around them in our solar system. But Saturn's rings are the most defined. They're the ones you can see the clearest. So we go Jupiter, and then Saturn, and then the next planet is Uranus. Uranus is cold, very, very cold. Could you imagine being that far away from the sun, how cold it is? I couldn't even imagine. And then the last planet is Neptune. Now, I love Neptune. I think Neptune is the coolest looking planet ever because it is bright, bright blue. I love Earth because we live on it, of course, but if you had to look at him in the solar system, Neptune's a pretty cool looking planet. So if we go back and we look at our planets in order from the sun, we have the sun first, and then it goes Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, asteroid belt, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. If you watch the video, the first video from YouTube on BrainPop, or rather, you learned quite a bit of things about those planets. So I know you know some interesting facts about them as I'm sitting here talking to you. So let's get back to our rocket just for a minute. So we have this, and we have this guy. Now, the trick to making this stay on top, because it kind of just floats around there, and you definitely want it to stay on top, is I did two things, and I'll show you my secret. So I took a piece of tape, and here's the sticky side that my thumb stuck to. I turned it over, and I wrapped it around the top, so it's nice and tight. Well, I tried anyway. It worked much better when I was off camera. I wrapped it around the top so it's nice and tight. Maybe not. Maybe it's just not going to work for me today. There we go. So it's nice and tight there. Now it slides up and down, and the key to getting it to not move is to take another tiny, tiny piece of tape and tape it at the very bottom so it stays in place. So now it stays in place. Now you're just going to kind of pinch it together. And when you do that and make kind of a cone type shape out of it, like a sphere or a cone at the top too, this you can push down on top and it stays. And that way, see, it doesn't fall off. Pretty neat, huh? Took me a couple tries to figure that out. Once I figured it out, I was like, oh, this is definitely going to work. So now I have my rocket body, and I have my little cone here to help it go in the direction that I want it to. And the last two things I'm going to put on are these triangles. Now, these triangles are stabilizers that help it slide. Now you can try to launch your rocket just like this and see if it works. If you want to do an experiment with it, that's perfectly fine. I put my first rocket with the long side here up on the base of the rocket. Now, what would happen if I made my rocket look like this? Let's try it. Let's see if they shoot differently. Who knows? It's an experiment. We can have some fun with it, right? So I'm going to tape here, put the tape on my triangle, and I am going to lay it down on here so it's nice and even with the bottom. And I'm just going to secure that down with some tape. And then I have one rocket. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. You're going to kind of want to make sure that they're even and they're symmetrical. Remember, the word symmetrical means they look the same. So on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get it even with the base. And I have my rocket. Okay. Now, just to make that secure, I'm going to take another piece of tape and I'm going to tape it and fold it over so it stays where I want it to. And that way, it won't fly. So there's my rocket. And I can actually would be able to fly. So how am I going to get to fly? Do I just shoot it across the room? And you know as well as I do, if we made these in the science lab, we'd be shooting them all over the place. We'd be taking them outside. We'd be measuring them to see how far we can get them to go. Absolutely. And I guarantee have some fun with it. But make sure you're not aiming at anybody because this is pretty pointy. So I told you you're going to need a straw. What you're going to do is you're going to slide your straw into the bottom. And then, well, how do you launch it? How do you think you launch a rocket into space? It needs what? That's right, it needs some type of force. It needs some type of force. Well, we're going to launch our rockets with our breath. We're going to blow through the straw, and we're going to see how far we can get them to fly up in the air. Now, I'm going to launch both rockets here for you while I'm sitting at my desk and see what happens. Should be interesting. I'm going to back my computer up so maybe we can see how far they can go up in the air. My daughter painted SpongeBob behind me for my office. Do you see that? Kind of cool, right? All right, so the first rocket we'll do first. Now I have a bendy straw, but you don't have to have a bendy straw. You can have a straw that's just regular, and my straw is going to go up in the air. I wonder if it would be different if I just blew it like this, but we'll see. So anyway, we're going to launch it. Let me get down a little bit. Ready? We'll count 3, 2, 1. Oh! That touched my ceiling. Can you imagine the fun we're going to have with these outside? Oh my gosh, they'd be so much fun. Now, we're going to use the same thing. I'm going to put the one I just made with you guys, and we'll see how far this one goes. Okay, 3, 2, oh, you can see it. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, now that one didn't quite go quite as high as the other one, but still. It went a little bit straighter and it didn't fly out. The other one flew out and hit way up here by the computer. The other one landed in front of me. So have some fun. You can change the trajectory. Trajectory, what's that mean? Well, that means instead of going straight up in the air, maybe I can get it to go out this way. Now I just flew across the room. I was playing with them earlier and my cat was chasing it all over the floor. So who knows? Might be kind of fun. Take it outside, do some experiments with it, measure it. Now on the printout that has this template on it, it does have some instructions and some questions that you can answer to see what you could do differently, how you could change it, all of those types of things. So it's a pretty cool experiment. But back to our solar system. Remember, what's the center of our solar system again? The sun. And all of the planets in our solar system orbit the sun. We start with Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, asteroid belt, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And then there's lots of other planets. There's lots of other dwarf planets, I should say. Pluto's a dwarf planet, and there's Aries and Ceres. They're all dwarf planets that are in our solar system too. But they're not considered planets because they might do something funny. In the orbit, they might not orbit the sun properly. They might not have a centrifugal orbit that goes around the sun. Okay, it kind of goes elliptical orbit, goes around the sun. It's one of the reasons why Pluto got kicked out of our solar system as being a planet, is because it jumped onto somebody else's orbit around the sun. It's kind of like, oh, hey, I'm going to jump into your orbit. So it didn't have its own orbit. So they said, you're not a planet anymore. You're too little. And you're tagging in on somebody else's orbit. And that's just not fair. So, boys and girls, have some fun making your rockets. Watch the video. See if you can put the planets in order from the sun. There is a sheet on the lesson plans for you guys to do that as well. And have some fun. I miss you all. I will see you guys all back next summer. I will be at school, I think on Tuesday to hand out for fifth grade, I think, and some of the other things to hand out supplies and stuff. But anyway, I miss you guys. I'll see you guys next year. Stay safe this summer. Have some fun. Relax. Get outside. Go to the beach. Go enjoy yourselves. Be fresh when you come back in the fall. See you guys all real soon. Bye.